The South African-born Trevor Noah is the new host of The Daily Show, which is a satirical news programme with millions of viewers in the United States. He's come to London with the launch of his book, Born a Crime, about growing up in apartheid South Africa. Now, I started my interview by asking him about why he felt the need to write such a personal story.
Well, because I wanted to share stories. I always wanted to write a book. I never thought I would have the opportunity. I also never thought I'd have the time. And then finally, those two came together. And really what I wanted was to share my story from my point of view. And also, just what it was like growing up with my mom, a single child, born during apartheid, and then living and growing up into the new democracy that was South Africa. And that really is part of the tale in the book, is the coming of age of both myself and a country that was doing the same thing.
The book's called Born a Crime, and you'd say that being a mixed-race boy in South Africa was a crime worse than treason.
Well, in many ways, it wasn't. Obviously, I used that, with dramatic license, but really, what was happening in South Africa was, under apartheid laws, you were meant to be pure of blood. There were laws of miscegenation, as they were called, that were designed to keep people only with their own. And so being the child of a white father and a black mother was a fundamental abomination of those laws.
You've certainly not got the typical background of a kind of US TV star. How have you found filling the very big shoes of Jon Stewart on The Daily Show?
Well, I found it's a monumental task. If anything, it's not even filling his shoes because he left with them. It's, making my own shoes and then seeing how those fit. So essentially, it's been the process of creating something new whilst still inheriting an amazing legacy. And it's been an interesting journey, one that I've enjoyed immensely. Sometimes have been tougher than others, as any new venture should be, but it's one where if I get it right, it's one of the most rewarding feelings in the world, and if I get it wrong, I get to come back and try it again the next day.
And you've certainly got quite a lot of material to work with now that Donald Trump's the new president-elect.
Definitely. It's a world that I genuinely did not believe we would be living in. It's a world I'm growing more and more accustomed to every single day. And there will be no shortage of material. I feel like it'll be an embarrassment of riches.
You once described Donald Trump as a perfect African president. What did you mean by that?
Well, he's a consummate African dictator, more specifically. I wouldn't want to tarnish all African leaders. There are some really good ones. But Donald Trump, for me, has more of the makings of an African dictator. Self-aggrandizing, self-enriching, really somebody who seems like he's in it all for himself, and yet has the ability to charm and convince the masses that he's a man of the people. And so when I spoke about that, and I continue to with Donald Trump, you can see the parallels, and it's not exactly the same thing, but you can genuinely see how that type of leader comes to be and how that type of leader gets into power and keeps power. The latter of which we will only see if, it's possible for Donald Trump to achieve, because people say it's impossible in America, but he's done everything that's been impossible up until this point.
From the perspective of someone who grew up in apartheid, are you worried about some of the divisions that we see in America at the moment? Definitely.
But, those are divisions that unfortunately are, remnants of a racist system. You can't erase those things overnight. South Africa still has, those scars and open wounds from apartheid. And you realize that ending the system is essentially the beginning of the journey, and America has suffered from that. America's realizing every single day, as we look at the laws and the way the justice system has been designed, that the code that is written at the very foundation of a lot of these laws is designed to oppress. And so that's a very tough place to be in, because you're trying to do two things at the same time. One is move a country forward as a whole, but at the same time realize that, you know, the very foundations of the country cannot be separated from its racialized past.
Do you think it's something that we're seeing across the world as well? We've had, of course, Brexit in the UK. In France, you have the potential rise of the far right too. Is this a global phenomenon?
Well, it looks like it. I mean, you know, we're seeing the rise of, you know, right-wing nationalism all across the globe. In Greece, in Italy, in Austria, in France, in the UK, in America. It seems like it's growing all over the world. The truth is, populism is growing all over the world. The only problem is left-wing populism is based on a fairness, and fairness doesn't seem to appeal to people as much. You know, left-wing populism has also grown all over the world. You know, you saw it in the US with Bernie Sanders. You see it in Greece as well. You see it in places. But unfortunately, you know, saying that it's not working, we need to bring down the banks, we need to change the system, and we all need to be fair to each other, just doesn't seem to connect as much as they are the problem, let's get rid of them.